I'm now going to introduce our first speaker for this stream, which is the Healthy Rangelands Part 1, Alison Kain. She joins us from Alice Springs today. Alison is going to talk about quality graze, turning off beef while improving land condition in Central Australia. Please make her welcome and have your questions ready and raring for when she's finished. Welcome, Alison.
Good morning, everyone. Our presentation today is about some of the exciting results from our Quality Graze project, turning off beef while improving land condition in Central Australia. My name is Alison Kain.
And I'm Chris Materne, and we are from the NT Department of Industry, Tourism and Trade.
For many years, grazing management advice in Central Australia relied on desktop analysis and a few on-ground examples. And it takes a really long time for land condition change to show up in Central Australia. We were pretty sure we understood the ecosystems and the beef production systems well enough to make sensible decisions, but we didn't have any long-term on-ground demonstrations. That was until Old Man Plains Research Station came online.
Old Man Plains is a 550 kilometre square research station which is located 20 kilometres south of Alice Springs, and we'll call it OMP for this presentation. It was originally one paddock of the Owen Springs pastoral lease, which was purchased by the NT government in 2003 to complete the West MacDonald's National Park. Owen Springs is one of the first pastoral leases taken up in Central Australia and has more than 100 years of grazing history. However, OMP's pastoral history is also its strength as a research station, largely because it was not in pristine condition. In fact, the land condition was regarded as poor on OMP, but this was typical of a lot of country across Central Australia.
In 2006, we began implementing some of the published recommended advice as we set up the grazing strategies on OMP. These strategies have formed the basis of the Quality Graze project. What is the best grazing strategy for consistent beef production in the highly variable climate of Central Australia? The strategies apply long-term safe stocking rates with a combination of set stocking and variable grazing with and without spelling, which is rest from grazing. So, our question is, can we improve land condition while grazing?
Well, we believe yes. We've seen a lot of change in cover, water flow and pasture species over a variety of seasons, and we are still producing beef.
So the really curly question is, are these changes due to seasonal variability or are they due to land condition change? So it can be difficult to know if land condition changes are due to the seasons or grazing management or a combination of both. Central Australia experiences a highly variable climate. Since the trials began in 2006, OMP has experienced a range of seasons. Of particular note are the very wet years during a double La Nina event. Over the past 25 years, Australia has seen two double La Nina periods, one in 1999 to 2001 while under former management, that's the light blue bars, and land condition couldn't benefit from it due to the historical management that was still being implemented. And another 10 years later, in 2009 to 2011, under the new management, the Quality Graze management, that's the dark bars.
This second double La Nina event has played a very important role in helping to restore land condition on OMP. Noting that land condition change became obvious after the second event, this coincided with the implementation of the Quality Graze project. The Quality Graze trial has also experienced the driest 3-year period on record between 2017 to 2020. From our point of view, this period has been especially interesting because it really tested our grazing strategies, and we think we have performed very well.
So, have we improved land condition? We believe that our grazing strategies have allowed for land condition improvement and subsequent maintenance of this land condition. What makes us say that?
There isn't one piece of data that says we've definitely improved land condition. However, there is a lot of different evidence that allows us to be pretty confident that land condition has improved in OMP. For example, the photos above or here show a site that's been regularly used for discussing land condition change on OMP. It might not look like much in the photos, but this is the second photo is following the driest 3 years seen in Central Australia. And we think this is an excellent response, in terms of both pasture species and yield. Generally, over the years, some of the things we have noticed are less surface scalding, better production of palatable grasses, and higher yields.
The first piece of evidence we looked at was Landsat ground cover data. Ground cover is a reasonable indicator of rangeland condition in Central Australia. We compared OMP, that's the black line, with the neighbouring Owen Springs Conservation Reserve, that's the green line. Both of these properties had experienced a similar history of grazing up until 2002, and we compared them with 2 parcels of nearby pastoral land that are under 2 different management systems, the orange and grey lines. Basically, there was no real difference between any of them up until 2010. Since 2010, the La Nina years, ground cover has been consistently higher on OMP than on one of the nearby pastoral areas, but similar to the second pastoral land area and the adjacent ungrazed conservation reserve. The double La Nina years were critical in accelerating land condition change from predominantly C condition to B condition for much of OMP.
We think the minimum difference between OMP and the second pastoral land area is predominantly due to a combination of land types conducive to buffel-grass establishment and management. However, we do know from changes in OMP that land condition improvement is not dependent on buffel-grass. The other thing I'd like to point out is about the effect of fire. In Central Australia, extensive wildfire seasons generally occur following 2 consecutive above average seasons. In 2002, we saw this situation unfold, and much of OMP, the Conservation Reserve, and surrounding pastoral land was burnt. In 2011, the majority of the Conservation Reserve and one of the 2 surrounding pastoral lands burnt again. However, on this occasion, OMP was spared, with the exception of one of the paddocks and much of the second pastoral land. Importantly to note that by 2015, the effects of this fire was minimal.
Did grazing strategy influence land condition change on OMP? When we look at the individual grazing strategies using both satellite-derived ground cover trends and on-ground transect data, there is little difference between the continuously grazed strategies and those with spelling. While we do use several grazing strategies on OMP, they have one important commonality, and that is that stocking rate for all the strategies has been aligned with the safe long-term carrying capacity since 2011. In 2015, an additional grazing strategy was begun with a higher than recommended stocking rate. That's the grey line on the graph. While it is relatively early days to make any meaningful comparisons, the ground cover in this treatment has now declined from the highest in 2011 to the lowest of all treatments by 2017.
This data suggests that getting the long-term stocking rate right is more important than the grazing strategy.
An unexpected result of the land condition improvement has been a reduction in runoff and the reduced frequency of dam filling. Historically, number 1 dam was an important watering point and cattle relied on surface water for drinking. When the research station was established, additional watering points and fences were put in to control and even out the grazing pressure across OMP and to reduce the grazing pressure around old watering points. It is thought that land condition improvement, specifically an increase in ground cover and perennial grasses, has slowed surface water movement and increased infiltration into the soil. As a result, number 1 dam has rarely filled in the past 10 years. In March 2012, at the end of the double La Nina event, the manager noted that despite all other dams filling, water didn't make it to number 1 dam. Since then, while some runoff has entered other dams on OMP, they have rarely been considered full, with the exception of Mulga Dam, which has a catchment in the higher than recommended stocking rate strategy.
This long-term photo monitoring site was established in a broad drainage line that feeds the number 1 dam. It shows the change from bare ground in 2006 to early successional species button grass in 2010. The colonisation of perennial buffel grass by 2014, followed by a decline in buffel grass during an extended dry period between 2018 to 2020, to a mixture of native grasses with some buffel grass by 2021.
Not only has an improvement in land conditions slowed runoff into dams, it has more than doubled the pasture available on the more productive calcareous shrubby grassland for the same rainfall. Good land condition typically means better retention of seed, water and nutrients within a landscape. This leads to an increase in the number of plants, the robustness of these plants, and their ability to produce abundant leafy material. Of course, it is this yield that feeds cattle, so it is something we take particular note of. Average pasture growth per millimetre of rainfall between 2006 and 2010 was less than 1.7 kilograms per hectare per millimetre of rain. After the improvement in land condition, average pasture growth was 4 kilos per hectare per millimetre of rain.
In terms of beef production, a particular feature of Central Australian pastures is their ability to retain their nutritional quality for up to 2 years once they've cured. This is important in a variable climate because it provides stability in feed availability. Good land condition equals more pasture growth, which is effectively the same as more hay in the hay shed for the dry years.
So when we look at our production system, in a nutshell, it's designed to produce premium beef steers at 30 months of age. So from the time of conception, it is almost 3.5 years before the final product is complete. So stability in pasture available is critical to the success of this strategy, and we think we've been really successful.
Our breeder herd is stable in numbers and highly productive. We get approximately 80% weaning rate. We know our grazing strategies will provide sufficient feed to ensure consistent growth rates so that we can meet our weight targets at about 30 months of age. Our steers consistently average 0.54 kilograms a day across a range of years, from the 6th percentile rainfall year in 2019-20 to the 97th percentile rainfall year that we saw in 2010 and 11. We sell the full age group of steers every year. It's not just the cream of the crop, it's all in, all out. One of the greatest benefits is that dry periods don't affect us so much. In 2008, prior to the major shift in land condition on OMP, much of OMP was destocked. Over the 2017-2020 dry period, post-land condition improvement, numbers remain close to the long-term carrying capacity. This enables us to have consistent production.
So, pastures grow more now than they did with similar rainfall events. We have the ability to hold cattle for longer into dry periods. We have very little or no need to cull our core breeder herd. Our steer turnoff is consistent in quantity and quality. We might even be looking at an increase in stocking rate. We're rain ready. Even really small rainfall events in dry periods have provided great benefit to our production system. And rarely do our OMP managers ever worry about running out of feed, and that's really valuable.
Land condition has improved on OMP, and we've done it with consistent beef production. We think it's a numbers game, and the most important number is the safe long-term stocking rate.
We would like to acknowledge the authors of this paper, Mr. Chris Materne, Alison Kain, Dr. Robin Cowley, and Dr. Mark Herndon. Quality Graze has been running for more than 10 years. It is estimated that over 38,000 quadrats have been assessed in that time by many skilled people. In addition, the cattle herd has been managed superbly by Brian Gill, manager of Old Man Plains Research Station, and all the staff associated with OMP and the Arid Zone Research Institute farm. The dedication and hard work contributed by all these people has been very much appreciated.